Now that it's over, when did you know that Zach was your guy?
So it's been a long process. It started off with us getting the number 1 overall pick, which, it's part of the reason why you win the lottery. That's what it was. And we went through this entire process, and I credit our group for the amount of work and effort and miles in to see both of these guys, frankly, to identify who they are and what they're about. So, it really it came down to like the last few days and, us getting together as a group, and, we narrowed it down to 2. And at the end of the day, like, Zach was the guy that we wanted to build with. So, that's when it was really close to the draft.
Things that I've said, just a role of being able to be a switch defender, the versatility of moving up and guarding bigger guys and even guarding down, the way he's able to move his feet on that side of the ball. And then shooting being at a premium in this league, especially for a guy that is 6'10", like that is really, really helpful. And what I really enjoy too about his game is what he does when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. He doesn't just stand, like he's moving, he's cutting, he's crashing for boards. So just keeping those extra possessions alive, putting us in the best position every game to be successful. You need that out of all those guys. So there's a lot of IQ there that we like. And this is some of the things that I see.
He's just 19 years old, and every prospect has things that need to work on. But what do you see as his NBA-ready skills? Like, how can he help you guys, you think, right now?
Shooting. That looks pretty good from what we've seen. And then I do think, defensively, he'll have to get stronger and take contact, but he plays with contact, and we've seen him play through contact. So early on, players that are able to get on the floor typically impact the defensive side, but with him to have kind of both, it's something that should be good for him.
That is Zaccharie, and he's only 19 years old too. Do you see that potential and being a starter and impact this year?
It's hard to project out in terms of playing minutes and all that stuff, but of course we want him to be the absolute best player he can be. Now, how we're defining franchise player, I'll leave that to you. But there's nobody that wants to see him succeed more than us, and we're going to absolutely set him up to do that.
Sarr obviously has the size, the length, and the athleticism. What can you say about his intangibles and how you picked up on them throughout the evaluation process?
Yeah, I think Alex is a special young man. He has a humility to him, but also a confidence. So when you put those things together with the work ethic that he's proven, and he's not afraid to really explore his game and take chances. So he left home at 14, went to Madrid, played there for a few years, went to America, tried something new with OTE, wanted another challenge, went and played with grown men in Australia. So he's someone that's always looking for more, always trying to get better and compete, and knows who he is. So when you talk to him, it's like a quiet confidence that he knows he's going to continue to get better and has a lot of work to do, but he didn't run away from that. So he's a true basketball player. I'll leave part of that for when you guys meet him. But when we talk, he knows that he's probably going to be a defensive player first. And that's the approach I think you see when you go watch him in a strong, more professional league, playing the center spot in a physical league over there in Australia. If you watch those playoff games, he had meaningful minutes off the bench. And it was energy. It was talking, something that young players don't do, defensively calling things out. So you go watch him in practice, you go watch him in shoot around, and the professionalism sticks out. Defensively, I think he can guard, he can switch, he can protect the rim. He's got to get better on the glass. When you asked about things he can improve upon, I think it's a physicality, but also a mindset as he gets older. Then offensively, he's got a lot of upside on that end too. But he'll tell you that he's going to be a defensive-minded player first. The offensive stuff will take some time, but 7'1", 7'4" wingspan, get the ball off the rim, dribble it up, initiate offense, space the floor, roll, make passes off the pocket on the, middle pick and roll, find the corner from there. There's a lot of stuff there, but it's going to start on the defensive end.
Reed Sheppard.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to put down anybody in this draft. I do think it's a talented draft. I think there are a lot of guys who can and will have really productive NBA careers, but in this case, we kind of, at the end of our process, we ended up with Reed as as the best player in the draft by quite a bit, the best prospect we thought. Again, not putting anybody else down, and it's obviously going to be incumbent upon him to bear all that out. And kind of the only guy that we were really focused on. So, so if he had not gotten to us, I think we would have probably traded down or out of the draft. But when we had the opportunity to pick him, we jumped on it. Yeah, I mean, I mean, he's a very nice kid. I've gotten to know him a little bit off the court, but yeah, I haven't gotten to his basketball IQ is from watching on film, and just he makes the easy play easy. He sees the court really well. His decision making, his processing is really quick. Even as I think it's one of the reasons he shoots so well, because the game comes easy to him and he knows whether he's going to shoot early enough to be ready to shoot. His shot preparations like truly astoundingly good. So so yeah, that's what we saw. And then defensively, a lot of stuff. He baits guys on defense. He picks up cheap steals. He can almost cheat the game a little bit through anticipation. And again, he's a really good athlete, so he doesn't have to just rely on his anticipation. He's able to couple it with some, with some athleticism.
What considerations did you guys have internally, and what kind of made Sheppard the right pick for your organization?
Yeah, we had Sheppard very, very high. So I think lots of players, including Donovan, were going to be very successful. But yeah, I mean, our evaluation was that Reed was, Reed has a very special skill set that gives him a chance. It's definitely not certainty, but gives him a chance to be special in the NBA in a way we thought was unique in this draft. Yeah, I mean, Reed was a top 25 player coming out of high school. So he was very much on the radar. I do think like there were a lot of question marks about translation. It's very rare that people dominate college basketball as a freshman the same way they dominated high school basketball and AAU basketball, and he did. And so that was apparent very quickly. So he was on our radar from the very beginning. The draft workouts I don't think impact our decision of drafting him, but we did get a chance to know him. And I was able to spend a lot of time with him. I think probably, 5 or 6 days in total. And really nice young man, like, kind of all the things you'd hope. And so the level of comfort of kind of investing in somebody that's what it provided. That time provided me, Ime, our coaches, our front office staff, with the ability to kind of get to know who the person that you're investing is, and kind of at the end of that feel very, very comfortable with who he is as a person.
We try to do it on everybody, but obviously knowing that we had a potential to draft pretty high, it wasn't like this was the first time we'd heard of him. We'd seen him in the high school scene. He was a pretty highly rated high school player. And so we try to spend as much time with those guys as possible and get to know them. So spending time at practice, going to games, even in the grassroots scene when we're allowed to see those guys, we try to make sure that we get eyes on them. So he'd been somebody that we knew a lot about. And when the opportunity was there for, we were really excited to draft him. So
tell me what you like about him specifically.
A lot of different things. He's very versatile. He's tough. He's smart. Most times you don't see highly rated players go to a school and be willing to play a role, right? He played on the ball and off the ball in high school, and was doing things that he just wasn't able to showcase sometimes at UConn because they were so good and they were deep and they were experienced. And so that ability to sacrifice for the betterment of the team is something that stood out to us as well, right? Because that's something you're going to have to do across the course of your career, everybody. And so that stood out as a great quality, but he's tough, he's smart, he's a team-first guy, he's a hard worker, and he comes from a program where they're getting coached hard every single day. They work hard, they practice hard, they're competitive, and they execute, and that meant a lot to us.
Pop's not going to scare him, I guess.
Not at all.
He's a guy who's, I think, been on record saying he thinks he's a point guard. Obviously, he's played on ball, off ball. Where do you guys kind of see him?
He's a basketball player, and so I think you'll see him all over the place. As much as he played point guard in high school, you would see him setting the screen and rolling to the basket and finishing. So that type of versatility is great. And again, guys come in and work and show you where they're best. And so we'll see where that lands. But he's got great skills, great versatility, and we're excited to see where that goes.
Is that where basketball's going, where you have guards who can like hit the short roll and find people around the court?
Yeah, I mean, you look at how we played last year.
Yeah.
Trey Jones was rolling to the basket and was great at it, right? So I think the versatility and the uniqueness of some of the guys we have on the roster allows you to do things differently than you would traditionally look at basketball. And so that's a skill that we value.
You talk about him coming out of high school. I think he was a 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
How far back do y'all go and look at this stuff? Like, I know he gets criticism for his shooting. He looks like a good shooter. Like, his mechanics look all right.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of a deep cut, but how far back do y'all go when you're looking at stuff like this?
Keep the inside information safe, but yeah, we try to go back as far as we can. As far as we're allowed. The more information you have, the better, and it just paints the complete picture. These guys are on college campuses sometimes for 6, 7, 8 months. Right. And so you may only see something there that if you haven't seen it anywhere else, you may miss something. So we're fortunate to see him play there, but also see some of the things that maybe he didn't showcase on such a great championship team.
Even though maybe his three-point percentage wasn't there last year, do you look at his mechanics as something that's something you can work with?
Mechanics and free throw percentage, and you break the season up into stretches. He missed some time. How did he shoot coming back from injury? How did he finish the season? I think you look at all those things, and on a team like Connecticut, you don't have the ability to shoot yourself out of a slump sometimes, right? So you get 8 shots or 7 shots sometimes. You don't get to shoot 18 times to shoot your way out of a bad shooting game. And so you have to take the whole context into the equation. So we believe he'll continue to improve there. And again, it starts with who he is as a kid and how hard he works, and we believe he'll make strides.
When thinking about Ron, and when we scouted Ron and watching a lot of tape and studying him, Ron embodies what we want all of our players to be here in the city of Detroit for our fans and for the city. Hard work, highly competitive, and a high-character young man that comes from a great family. We feel he has the ability to impact both ends of the floor at a high level, and he's scary in transition. And I think all those qualities really have the ability to move our team up in the future. And it's what we're looking for from our players and what we want to add and who we have as well and develop those guys into. I think the thing, too, that really impressed me about Ron and impressed us was he knows who he is. The people that you speak about that you want to play like, you're a defense-first guy, team first, you want to win, those type of things, and then you build on that as we get better in that. And those are the things that really intrigued us about adding you to our organization. And for us and for me, you becoming our first pick. So congratulations again, Ron, and welcome to Detroit.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
4 or 5 days, film, intel calls, talking to our group really led me to understand that this was the guy for us. Understand his impact, his force on both ends of the floor, the human being, the character, and I just felt he checks so many boxes here that not only what we're about, but what the city of Detroit is about as well. I think we went through an internal process on what's important, and as I said before, he checks a ton of those boxes. So I think there's a lot of things that he brings at an elite level to us right now. And so, yeah, he has a high ceiling, but I don't think his floor is that low. I think he's going to be a hell of a player in this league, and I know he's going to reach his potential because of his hard work and his character and the resources that we're going to put around him. So I have a high belief in this young man to my left that he is going to really, really impact this organization at a high level for a long period of time.
I can't tell you guys how excited I am that we got Tidjane. He's the guy who we had organizational alignment and conviction in from the very beginning. And you guys heard what Charles was saying yesterday. We want guys who give it an effort night in, night out, guys who compete. He's the youngest player in the draft, a ton of upside, great frame. I was fortunate I got to go to Europe a couple times this season to see him and spend some time with him. He's an amazing, amazing human being, and I know he's going to do everything in his control to maximize himself.
What kind of long-term project is he?
Yeah, I think, look, I never want to sit here and limit a player. You don't know, ultimately you don't know, right, in terms of how good they can be. So I think that's a little bit unfair. But again, like I just said, I know he's going to maximize himself because he works. I just got off the phone with him, and he's like, I can't wait there to start working right now. So he's very, very anxious. He's going to put the time in the weight room, on the court. We're very fortunate to have Charles and his staff who, they take pride in player development. So I just think the marriage between Tidjane and our staff is going to be beautiful.
What are some of his strengths? What sticks out in him when you watch him in person?
Yeah, just his competitive spirit. Right? Every single play, he's an urgent competitor, especially on the defensive end. He's flying around. He's athletic, so he can alter shots. He's getting loose possessions, creating deflections. He's a very selfless, which that's going to fit well with what we have here as well. Yeah, I would guess that part translates sooner. He competes. He sacrifices his body. He's not afraid to be physical. He does a pretty good job without fouling, which is rare for a young player. He offers rim protection. He can switch. He can play, guard on the perimeter. So I think there's a ton of versatility there, and obviously that's where the league is these days. You guys are probably going to get tired of me saying it, but he's about all the right things. I'll take someone who competes, who works, who's unselfish, and who's going to give everything they have every single day, that effort that's required to be great. So I think with that, of course, given his physical attributes, and he has a good skill level as well. And then, of course, you bring Charles into that equation, and I'm going to bet that they're able to do something special here.
Compiles into tonight one person, Donovan Clingan, who a player we're really, really high on, a player we had ranked very highly, a player that we think is going to be a great addition to this franchise because of many reasons, who he is as a person, the type of player he is, the defensive prowess that he brings, the winning mentality, a lot of good features, and Donovan has an extremely bright future. This is where, I just give so much credit to our scouts. They were all over him a year ago. They loved him last year as a freshman. And then, we just studied him closer and closer as, these last two seasons went on.
Number 3 on your board?
He was. I don't like to give the number just because I don't want to put any added pressure on him. But we had him higher than we took him. Defensively, Donovan to me is an interesting defender. Of course, he's more of a drop big that's best around the rim. I mean, it's what he does best is protect the rim. But his IQ and his feel and his ability to navigate and react and play the right angles or adjust his depth depending on who you're playing against and what you're trying to take away. I think Donovan's going to be a nice, versatile defender that, in general is just going to up our defense, something that we've continually tried to do and we're starting to get better at, but we still have a long ways to go there. I think rim protection, has been a big hole of ours, and Donovan helped solve that problem.
So we were, we were trying to find creative ways to kind of get there. We think Dillingham's explosiveness and his playmaking. I think he's a heck of a playmaker, and his ability to play both on and off the block this year it's hard to replicate that skill set. We're looking for guys who can break the paint, like to play a little bit faster, to create for themselves and others. And throughout the process, our eyes kept getting drawn to Rob. We were calling all around, said we get something done. We weren't too optimistic when the night started, and we're lucky enough to obtain a pick, and we get a kid that we think can really help us. We're trying to address certain things this offseason, certainly bench scoring, ability to create for themselves and others. The things she talks about all the time, breaking the paint, playing in the paint, playing with a bit more pace, and all those attributes are really hallmarks of Robert's team. Yeah, for sure. No, I don't think you make a move as aggressive as this and sit on I think Finchy he's the best, and I haven't talked to you guys so extended for his extension, but Finchy and I watched him 2 days ago in his office for a long time. He was as excited as we were. So he's a guy that from day one's going to have a role, responsibility. I'm certainly it's going to be hard for him, but I don't think you're that aggressive in the top 10 with a guy you don't think to select. But I think what was really neat watching Kentucky, especially him and Reed Sheppard, and I believe the roommates, it was cool to watch those guys effectively play off each other. And Kentucky was scoring like an NBA chin in the second half of the season. I think sometimes you look at a guy his size, he's diminutive, and they think he's just a bucket getter. He passes more than he shoots with pick and roll. I think he's very unselfish guy. His per 36 assists are really impressive. So, and his energy is infectious. So he's going to play fast. You got to play fast with him.
At 19 and 65 pounds, how much are you going to have to protect him or basically do something with him on defense?
We're not going to protect him. We're going to challenge him. We're not here to hold his hand. I mean, he's a very competitive guy. There's been plenty of examples of guys that are slight that are plus defenders. Certainly, it's not easy when you lack elite positional size, but he's unbelievably competitive guy. Everybody we talked through from high school to people grew up with him, to Kentucky to OT to Donda, competitiveness is one of his hallmarks. So we're going to challenge him. We're not going to protect him. I think the ability to spread the floor, again, play in the paint, and I think he is a really, really unselfish player. He was able to play both on and off the ball last year. A lot of these guys, kind of with his profile, have struggled without the ball. He didn't struggle without the ball, and he's like competitiveness is something that is a hallmark of his. So anytime you can have a shot maker that's quick, and he doesn't play like he's a $168. He's fearless at the rim. So I do think the playmaking will probably surprise a lot of people when you look at him. When he's flashy, he plays fast, and as a pull-up 3-point shooter. I think the playmaking is underrated. I think it's something that Fishy will really help develop, and we're so fortunate to have him learn under Mike Conley.
And you throw him into the deep end and have him be like the point guard of the second unit?
Yeah, no, he's going to play. Yeah, I think he's going to play. Again, we were pretty aggressive, and we gave up a pretty valuable asset. So he's a guy that's from day one going to give him the opportunity. Obviously, it won't be. It's got to earn him to keep that opportunity, but we traded for him to play right away. Again, Coach Cal does such a great job. Last year he played with Reed Sheppard, played with Wagner, played with Reeves, and I think what jumped out at us is sometimes, again, the guys who look like him at first glance tend to play selfish basketball. Oh, we're dribble, don't make quick decisions. He's a quick decision maker, and I think his IQ is elite, and the playmaking, not just watching highlights, but really digging into the analytics. We were kind of really impressed by a guy that can balance that 15 points a game in 21 minutes, 6 assists per 36. In pick and roll, he's more apt to pass than shoot. The more we dug, the more impressed we were.
Yeah, this is Zach Edey is a particularly special fit, I think, for this group. In getting to know him, we're talking about someone whose competitiveness is through the roof, care factor through the roof, no ego, just wants to win. Development focused, year-over-year track record of actual improvement. When we talk about the DNA of this team and what we're trying to build out, Zach Edey to a T is that definition. We could not be more thrilled to land him in this draft. I think yes, I think to some Zach Edey is viewed as a somewhat polarizing player. For us, when we think about, let's start with Zach, and the progress that he's made, what he did over the course of his 4-year career, at Purdue, making that national championship game, working on his body, every year. I think his mobility clearly improved, year over year. I think there's some misconceptions about Zach Edey and his defense. We're talking about a player here who was told not to foul out of games. He was such a significant part of that Purdue team that his foul rate for a big and his durability for someone who's 7'5" with a 7'11" wingspan, not missing games, not fouling out of games. I think 2 fouls per game, or something to that effect. I think there's something to be said about, allowing him to, be a little bit more aggressive, which he obviously, will be able to, at this level. I think there's a lot to be, said about the situation with us, with Jaren Jackson Jr. I think Jaren, kind of roaming, off of Zach, his weak side rim protection, Edey, as the anchor, in drop coverage. I think that's, that's a look that we're very comfortable with, and I think Zach, has the potential to be a very positive, impactful defender, over time in the NBA. Again, care factors through the roof, incredible rebounder. That's certainly something that we wanted to have as a look. We have options, now. When we think about the push that we're making, to take this team all the way to a championship, you see it. It's really difficult to get through 4 rounds of the playoffs. And in our front court now, there's a lot of different ways we can play. We tried, what really appealed to us about Zach, you spend a lot of time thinking about how do we match up against this team? How do we match up against that team? Zach is incredibly unique in that you got to deal with him. We now have, from a size standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, that's something that other teams are going to have to grapple with. We want to have, looks that we can throw out there that give us the advantage. Let them, figure out how to deal with us. And we have different looks we can throw out over the course of a game or over the course of a series. That optionality, I think, is something that really intrigued us, and we think could make an actual difference. A lot that Zach brings to the table. Obviously, was incredibly successful as a post-up heavy, big in college, but as a screen setter, a creator of space, as a post-up threat. Someone's got to guard him. That's significant. I'm not saying we're just going to post him up all game, but that's a weapon, that we have now. As an offensive rebounder, cleaning the glass, I think that's significant. As a roll threat, to the basket, Ja has a way of finding guys, and my God, you've got some size, for Ja to find now. I think that's a pairing that we're really excited about. And Zach has a chance to shoot, as well. I think he's been a good free throw shooter, not just this year. He's been a solid free throw shooter, certainly for someone of his size for 4 years now. We've seen him, put in the work on that front. You haven't seen it in games yet. I'm not saying that's, necessarily going to be part of his game, but I think he has potential, to be a shooter as well. Zach's durability, over the course of his Purdue career is somewhat remarkable. Again, for a big to have barely missed, any games over the course of his college career. Obviously, we'll get him in and get to know him and figure out, exactly what, how we're going to deploy him and the rest of the group, going forward. But I'm just excited to get him in here, and that's not a place where we're concerned. Zach's career is going to be this or that, but we think he's a meaningful, impactful, part of our group who can help us, achieve high-end team outcomes. That's what we're focused on, and I do think our situation will help optimize Zach as well. I think having a big like Jaren Jackson Jr. On both ends of the floor, I think that helps optimize, Zach, and I think Zach helps optimize us.
So with Cody, he's a true wing with NBA speed and talent and skill. He's very young, obviously a lot of work to do on the body. I think when you guys meet him, one of the things I was very impressed with is he's much more mature for what a normal 18-and-a-half-year-old is. He's one of the youngest players in the draft. And he's got a spirit and some experience because he went through this with his brother and sees what it's like, and he loves basketball. It's a basketball family. And I'm really excited for him to be part of our program, and we're really happy to, continue to help him grow.
When it comes to his brother, how much can that help to just have a family member in the NBA with you?
I think for the most part it's really beneficial because, you might ask, Keontae George 365 days after he's drafted, and it's like, what have you learned? He hears that from his brother every day, like the first three years, like, I had to work harder. I thought I worked hard. I needed to work harder. The physical, the strength, the physicality you need to play in the league. A lot of people don't get that until it hits them straight in the face. And they're like, oh, wow, this is a different league. And so just having that perspective early and someone who is, in his family, a very hard worker and has experienced good early success, I think is a great example for him. They're going to be different. They're not the exact same player at all. But just being able to be around that, can continue to inspire and grow, Cody's passion for the game.
How do you help him like avoid those comparisons? I guess because those are obviously going to.
I mean, he could get his last name changed, I guess, but that's going to be inevitable. But his time in the league is going to be, and his reputation is going to be marked by what he does and how he grows and progresses, and that's how you make your own reputation. I think a couple different reasons. Like with Cody, he came into a very mature team, an older team that played, and so I think a lot of times he would defer and try to figure out how to play with them, and so you learn a lot like that, how to play with others. The high school stuff, you see the athletic talent and the skill and all those things that he did a very good job in high school. So I don't think that there was anything concerning that it wouldn't project. It's like you're trying to find context within college of why things were the way they were. But, like I said a couple days ago, is like you're finding the positives, and there's a lot of positives with Cody and with Isaiah. I think Cody also he's the farthest thing from a selfish player. He likes to move the ball. He likes to connect with his teammates. You saw that in Colorado, whatever role he had to play. So having two guys that can connect with our group, I think is important. And they have physical profiles that I think have historically shown very good results in the NBA. I think all of these guys are going to need time to develop and NBA experience and things like that. So how his summer goes, and then how many gains can he make? I think the strength part's going to be a huge part for him. So what kind of progress he makes, and then how quickly he learns stuff and things like that. So as I've told you guys know very well from Coach, there's no free minutes, but there are opportunities, obviously, with a young developmental squad to earn a place. And no matter where that place starts, like we've had historically a very good track record of being able to get guys where they want to go. His footwork and working on some of those things for him to be able to get it. He's certainly got the frame and the height to be able to, become a volume deep shooter. It's one of the things that we'll work on.
To touch on a pick today, it's an exciting day. Another Chicago kid. One caveat that he's also, Lithuanian. I did not plan for this today. It just worked out that way. But we're very excited to add him to our young group. Very versatile wing swing that play for Ignite. We watched him all year, and very happy to add him. I'm very qualified to say his name, Matas Buzelis. His versatility, it's very, evident, in terms of his position. Our league is moving towards, like multi-positional wings, just size and athleticism and versatility. You can put it on the floor, and then switchability, right? He averaged more than 2 blocks per game. So, I don't know exactly what to expect, next year, but I know that those guys are going to be on the floor, and they're very versatile. So,
what do you think Matas got or gained by going the G League route versus the college route, and what do you see as the pros and cons in a situation like that?
Well, he played against men, right? So, the one thing that that Ignite team just got beat up, and a lot of those guys came from winning programs, but this year they didn't win that many games, but they competed against grown men. So I think physicality and as close as you can get to NBA game, that's what they experience in G League. So hopefully that translates into NBA for him faster. But he has a lot of things to work on, and I think he's looking forward to it.
His knee, and what is the, I guess, is there a timetable?
Sure. Well, obviously, we are well versed on that. The league put in some rules this year where everybody has access to the new to all the new players that are in the draft. So we've seen all the imaging. Everything that we've seen is I'm going to say suitable, but we're comfortable with is what I would say. Myself and Donnie Strack, our director of medical, who's been here for 17 years now, traveled out to visit Nikola. He examined him in person. I was able to spend some time with him. We had a group of scouts that interviewed him in Treviso. AC was there for that. And now we're going to sit down and kind of determine like the plan of action for the injury. But we're going into that extremely optimistic with what it is that we've seen and where I think we'll be able to get to. But our expectation is that he probably won't be playing for us next season. Our experience with Chet and the time that we used with him during his first year was certainly a factor into the way we thought about this opportunity. And I think we learned some things in that instance. Totally different players, totally different situation, different ages, et cetera. But, that I think our ability to look at that as an opportunity probably allowed us to gave us some confidence to make the decision that we did with him.
I mean, we're really excited about Nikola. He's the youngest player in the draft this year, and at that young age, he's demonstrated an ability to play at a high level and in a high league, in EuroLeague competition.
Which you used to dominate, right?
I've had some success there. In addition to that, he has great size, great playmaking ability, high IQ, a lot of things to be excited about. So we're looking forward to getting him in. Been on Nikola a long time, even at the junior level. And as I mentioned before, his playmaking, his IQ, it stands out right away. And when you associate that skill set, that package with his size, I mean, you see why he's been so dominant and has so much success. And I just want to reiterate our excitement for him being there and getting him into the building and incorporating into what we're doing.
But we generally go off what we think are the best players. And in this particular case, I think one of the reasons we probably were in the position to acquire him is because of the injury and the fact that he wasn't as available to work out. And I feel like we're willing to place a high value on his skill set long term.
NBA players play in that league. A lot of great European players participate in that league. It's a very, very competitive league, and for Nikola to have the success that he's been able to have in that league, in my experience, that's not a normal thing. And I think that's something we value a lot. And EuroLeague is extremely competitive. I just can't reiterate that enough. Like in comparison to the NBA, I think it's right up there. And I think I have a lot of respect for him having success at such a young age.
So one of the things about Nikola that I find really beneficial or valuable is I think he's extraordinarily mature for his age. He's an extremely, extremely mature person. If you speak to his teammates or observe him in team settings, he's a tremendous teammate. I think he's got a great understanding of team dynamics for a young age. I think he's got a great presence of himself and understanding of himself. He's very curious. The person is really interesting in terms of how he sees teams and basketball and competition and learning. And at that age, I think that's pretty rare. So that was also extremely intriguing to have all of that. And obviously, when you have someone that you know as well as Micic, that's very helpful too.
Obviously, coming into tonight with the 13th pick, we've added a lot of possibilities as we always do, but ultimately excited to pick Devin Carter and add him to the Kings, and just the exact type of guy that we always look for. Intangibles on and off the court, the ability to play on and off the ball, play both ends, and frankly, just a winner. And so really excited to bring Devin in. Yeah, multi-year college player, started at South Carolina before going to Providence, but certainly popped in the past. I think this year in particular took another jump. The kind of the heartbeat of Providence this year, improved his shot somebody who's always kind of popped in both for our scouts and our analysts just because of all the things he does on the floor. But to add more scoring and shooting this year, I think was a big uptick. And but somebody was certainly on our radar before that. I think at the end of the day, Devin, somebody very high up on our board that we really weren't expecting to be there at 13. And so when he was there, we decided to pick it and add him to our group. We're excited. And we try to draft the best player available. And, you know, we look for versatile guys. I mean, Devin Carter just checks all the boxes. If you watch the playoffs this year, there are a lot of Devin Carters out there. I'll put it that way. And so we try to find tough, physical guys who can play on both ends, make a shot, score the ball, switch, guard guys, rebound. I mean, guy like that we couldn't pass up. So, you know, we understand the rest of the roster and what we'll have to do there. But tonight was about that.
Hey, Monty.
We always want to see players improve. And we want that growth to continue. And so I think a big thing about Devin, that as we dug in, one of the best work ethics in the class, if not the best. And we all know his father played in the NBA. I'm sure he's gotten some pointers on what it takes to win, not just at the collegiate level, but here at the next level. And yeah, that's those things. We saw those improvements. I already mentioned the shooting, but you know, taking on a bigger role offensively while still being, you know, one of the best defenders in the Big East. So you know, we love to see that. We hope it continues. And our group does a great job. We have scouts that watch these guys all the time, and they're marrying what they're seeing with their eyes with the numbers. One thing was great with the numbers, rebounding translates just about as well as any skill. So Devin will rebound in the NBA, and that's a very important skill. We were number one in defensive rebounding. That was a big part of our defensive improvement. At the same time, being a rebounder means not just rebounding, it means you're smart, it means you're active, it means you're tough, it means you can jump. It signals a bunch of other things that you can do on the court. And so guys who can rebound, guys who block shots, guys who get steals, if that lines up with what our scouts are seeing, that he can put those and manifest those onto the court in ways that help us win, that's where we feel really comfortable. And Devin was I think, the guy in the draft that put those things together the best, and that just gives us the most confidence that he's going to continue to do it for us. Mentioned it. I think that a lot of Devin-like players played a prominent role in the playoffs, and he's just the type of guy that he's going to help you win during the 82-game regular season, which is important. But I think down the road in his career, he's going to be the type of guy that is even more important in April, May, and June, where we hope to be playing a lot. And so, you know, I just think the NBA is going towards these guys that are, look, he's going to play point guard. He's going to play some off the ball. He's going to have to guard the point of attack and guard the pick and roll. And he's, you know, and then guys, they're going to try to get him off of him, and he's going to have to go and wreak havoc off the ball. So the more that you can just impact the game in all those different ways, I think that's the way the NBA is going, and I think Devin fits that mold.
Bub, he's a great kid. We spent a really funny lunch just talking football, talking sports, talking life, and just really connecting to see if he can really handle coming back home, because that's not the same from everybody. I know Baltimore, D.C. area, like we are a proud culture here in D.C. in the DMV area about basketball, and he's obviously lived the life where he's seen this area blossom from his dad and his granddad, and has been a hooper his whole life. So when you have those conversations with someone that's like, DC, this is home, like I can handle that would be great. You got to have those real conversations with everybody. So Bub's a good kid. He's a good worker, and he's excited to be here. I'm glad he was surprised, because he probably didn't know we had the pick at the time. We were moving up and a lot was going on. But he can play on the ball. He can play off the ball. I think he grew up playing off the ball more. You saw him at the very first game, the half of the season at Pitt. He was playing point guard just to add more offense. They moved him off the ball. He still was efficient. And once he was off the ball the last half of the season, last 15 games, he was probably shooting close to 40% towards the end of the season from three. So he found ways to get people involved, but also learned how to play off the ball. And like we said, we want multiple decision makers. We want the game to be random within a system, to where you're making reads, anybody can drive the ball, anybody can make a decision. And we added 3 guys who can do that tonight, and 3 guys who also want to compete on the defensive end. So I think that's how Bub, but the other 2 fit in as well.
We were able to get the specific player that we wanted. that we think can complement our team, complement Bam, Adam Simon, all of the people involved in our Eric Amsler, Keith Askins, Chet Kammerer, this name kept popping up all the time in front of me, and the videos kept coming. The workout was exceptional the day that he was here, and we never ever deviated from where he was on the board. So, whoever was there or whatever it was, we were committed. And so I just want to introduce you to who I hope is going to be a player one day that will, have the career of a lifetime right here in Miami from that standpoint. So I will no longer open my mouth. And welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to get out of your way.
Kel'el is a 3-and-D center. It is not easy to find 7-footers that can play out on the perimeter offensively and also be able to defend with his ability to shot block and defend the post. For us, that was very appealing. Us versatility on both ends. And I think his skill set fits us. The things he does well are going to be things that Coach Spo is going to be able to use. I think it's a great fit. He's got, be able to block shots, defend the rim, shoot threes. He's got a great touch in the post. I think there's a lot of his skill set will be great to play with Bam and as well as when Bam's off the court.
Excited to welcome Jared McCain to the team. Thrilled that we were able to have a pick to get a player of this quality. Jared's he's just been a winner everywhere. He's going to be someone Philly loves. Pretty rare to get a combination of both a guy who's got some skills that will get him on the floor earlier, including shooting, but also with a lot of upside and on a very steep improvement curve, even at his time at Duke defensively, which I think was one of the questions coming out of high school, where he was top player in California, winner at every level. As everyone says, we were pretty surprised he was there, and we're looking at a lot of scenarios with trade out, trade back, and they all sort of went away when Jared made it. There was a couple key picks in there in the early teens that we needed to go our way or not pick Jared for us to be thrilled with the draft. We had McCain as a top 10 player in this draft, and someone who we've got a lot of roster opportunity. So if you can get a player who is hopefully rotation ready at a very young age. I don't want to put pressure on him, but we think he's got that. He's got the improvement curve. He's got the approach. He's obviously got a skill that the coach will turn around on the bench and say, "Hey, I need that skill." He can really, really punish people in transition, really rebound. He's pretty special for a guy to get sort of in the middle of the first round. And, I don't want to put any tough expectations on him, but, we really think this guy's going to be a 76er for a very long time, like some of our recent draft picks. Yeah, I think that's a valid concern. Obviously, your backcourt, in a perfect world, you'd have taller, but I think you have to compensate that with strength. He's got like a strong frame, very strong, good rebounder. We think he'll be a solid defender in the league over time. He started off at Duke. He was being targeted at Duke, and as the season went on, he became someone that was actually one of their better defenders. So, he's got the attitude that Coach Nurse likes to bring, which is just get a little bit better every day. He's got, 95th percentile approach to the game, teammate, work ethic. We've had some good luck with taking the kids with a real base of potential and a strong work ethic. And, we were really happy. I think, he's I'm excited for Philadelphia to get to know him.
Oh, it's translated to the NBA level.
Yeah, I mean, SEC Player of the Year, it's one of the toughest conferences, and so just his competitive nature stood out. He's a 3-level scorer, a guy that's going to defend. He's physical, he's athletic, really a 3-and-D player, which every roster, craves. But he's also he's a really good athlete. At the combine, he had a 39-inch vertical, so he's got the ability to go off the bounce, attack the rim when teams run him off the line. So that versatility is really hard to find. And we just think he fits so well with our pillar pieces, and Edey, and hopefully if things work out in free agency with LeBron. But to have a guy that will cause gravitational pull because of his shooting, and also when you run shooters around the court like he can do, it morphs the defense and just opens up driving lanes. So there's just a lot of versatility to his game, and I think he gives us a weapon that we currently don't have on our roster. We did not, with the 17th pick, we asked for it, and I think the agents make those decisions, and oftentimes when guys are at the beginning of the process, ready to go in the top 10, we don't have a chance to work them out, so we didn't. But again, scouted him extensively. I was able to see his last few games in college, which was great. Our scouting team unanimously had him, again, in the top 10 on their board. So we felt like we knew him really, really well. He just hasn't been in our building yet, and will be soon, and we're excited for that. There was no shift. Like, we were just super excited that the possibility of him being there. And again, if we would have had the 10th pick in the draft, we would have taken him. So to get that value at 17 is really yeah.
Which position do you think?
Yeah, I think the way he's built, he's an older kid in the draft, so he's 23, and so he's got big shoulders and just a big base, and I think he'll use his strength to defend. I think he'll be able to guard, 3s, 2s, and he's got pretty good feet that even if he gets switched out onto a 1, I think he'll compete. So switchable defender, not a 5-position defender. He's 6'6", but I think he'll be a good perimeter defender, and that's why I label him as a 3-and-D player. Yeah, I think that'll ultimately be a Coach Reddick question, but I think our discussions upstairs were, wow, we just found a player that we can see playing on next year's team and having a real impact, and that's exciting. I think he has a lot of upside left in his game. Of course, his journey, he started out in junior college and made it all the way to Tennessee. So at every step, he's improved, and we'll expect that improvement at the next level as well.
Defensively?
I don't. Again, this kid has improved his body. He's going to live in the weight room. He's committed to getting stronger, staying quick. And I just think his size alone, he's a +4 wingspan. He's got good size for a shooter. A lot of teams, when you have a shooter, you got to height him at the other end. And that's not the case with him. He's got, sturdy body, good size, 6'6", +4 wingspan. I like his chances.
A couple words about Tristan, and then I'll open it up to you guys. We set out with our goal entering this draft to add shooting, skill, and IQ, and positional size. To check all 4 of those boxes at the 18th pick is a good day's work for us. So Tristan is a very unique player. He's exceptionally skilled. He's one of the highest IQ players, I think, in this draft and maybe in a lot of drafts recently. His shooting will open the floor up. His skill level will create angles. He's great off the ball. And we just had a lot of experience with him on his visits. We met with him in Chicago. We had a great visit here. And, we're just very excited to add him to our team.
Okay, with that, we'll open questions if you please wait for a microphone.
Oh, and he's a buff.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's really, that's what basketball's about. I mean, skill, ball handling, vision, feel for the game. It unlocks all the other players, and really, Tristan is exceptional there with positional size to go with it. He makes the game a lot easier for the other 4 players to play. He's selfless, and even though, he's an older player, he has growth in him. You know, there's a lot more untapped, I think, that the NBA will actually unlock in him. And he will make it easier for our kind of primary creators to play. And he can also shape up angles, read the floor balance, do things that just put guys in their right spots, almost the way in Europe they say point guards are organizers. He's kind of an organizer at a forward position.
Jamal, beyond him being a buff, what excites you about Tristan?
Exactly what Jeff said. I really just do believe his IQ, his ability to make people around him better, and then more than anything, his poise, his demeanor while he's on the floor, putting people in the right position, being in the right position, knowing when to cut, when to move, then the ability to space the floor as well. And I just think he has room to continue to grow, and also his ability to understand how to win in this league and winning habits that he's developed.
I think we talked the other day about trying to find the intersection, and you say, like, well, you want the player that's going to help your team and have a successful career when you're picking 18, but if you get lucky enough to have that be an intersection of he's also, you know, maybe at a stage, he's still a rookie, you know, so everyone has to come in and always say there's basketball IQ and then there's NBA IQ, so he still has to go through that, but we're lucky that he kind of like is right at that intersection. So he checked all those boxes, and you know the pundits would say he's a plug-and-play guy, whatever you want to make of that. Obviously, he's going to have to come in. He's going to have to earn what he eats, and he's going to have to you know, be a rookie and go through that. But his ability to be connective tissue, to bring the team together, to lift others up, is unique. He's, you know, you guys know we bring in people and players, and so you know he's just a high character kid who's about the right stuff. He's serious. He's committed. You know, I think, you know, I always say you can tell a person by the way he plays. I mean, this is one of the most selfless players that you'll find, and we think that's who he's going to be for our team on and off the court.
Obviously, feel fortunate to get Jacoby at this spot. You know, maybe he thought he was going earlier. Maybe, you know, the mocks had him going earlier. But a kid we followed, you know, since high school. I think he first popped up on I think they won the Geico high school national tournament in the States. He played for Link. And so just always been a winner, tough, kind of, you know, fits the mold of a two-way Raptor player, can make a shot, can play defense. And so, you know, some guy we followed for a while, but we initially think he'd be there at 19. So we feel great. Yeah, so I mean, you know, we have our staff here that does all the intel, and so we had some people that spent. Luke probably spent, I don't know, maybe a week at Baylor earlier in the year. I went down and met him in Baylor, and so we had a comfort level from that. You know, you want to do your due diligence, and you know, it's tough when you don't get to bring a kid up here, but we feel comfortable. Yeah, I think that's why it's, you know, important to scout him in the amateur level, and then I think maybe if you look at the splits, it's a little bit different early in the season. And he may have been dealing with some knee stuff. But, yeah, no, I mean, you got to make shots in this league, and you can't just sort of have the reputation of a shooter. You have to do it. So I think obviously that's our bet with. So obviously guard ones and twos. I think he's got pretty good length. I think there's just sort of a inner toughness when you watch him, and he rebounds the ball well. So, you know, not afraid to kind of stick his nose in there. So, yeah. Yeah, we always take these guys. I think Grady's a good example last year, right? You come in, and it's going to be up and down, and so I think that's probably more of the expectation is you may be able to come in right away, but can you kind of sustain it throughout the course of a season, especially as a young player, and the physicality and the travel and all that. But no, yeah, we're obviously taking these kids because we think they can come in and play. Yeah, I think just obviously him coming from Link, so he comes from a pretty high pedigree high school program. And then I think now, for those of you who follow college, like Baylor's become one of the premier winning programs in basketball. So I think those kind of things that he valued from the recruiting standpoint, but also decisions he made. And so thoughtful kid, cares about the right things.
Tell us about this guy.
Yeah, we're excited. You know, obviously Jalen, big guard, 6'6", 6'7", big body, 3-level scorer, gets downhill. You know, I mean, he had to do everything for Cal this year. You know, played point, played 1, 2, 3. Didn't have a lot around him. You know, they were very young. Played walk-ons a lot. Obviously, Mark Madsen's, I think, one of the better coaches in college basketball. So Mark did a great job with them. They really overachieved. But he's tough, competitive. I mean, he was one of the only guys that, we had, kind of in that 20 year that came in and worked out actually. So, and he had a great workout for us. He was everywhere. I mean, he can rebound, he can pass, he can shoot. Like, he just fills so many gaps. Does a little bit of everything, can play 1 through 3, gets in passing lanes, is tough. Like, he just kind of checks a lot of boxes, and we're excited, and hopefully he was going to be there at 20.
When a guy plays at 3 schools?
Really, not really. I mean, obviously with Jason, there were different circumstances why, he had 3 schools essentially, but, it's just really, he gets to Cal, and Madsen was a perfect fit for him. Mark obviously played in the NBA, coached in the NBA for the Lakers, and, Mark just gave him a ton of confidence and let him go. And, I mean, you saw flashes of it when he was even at Texas Tech. Like, this guy can be a pro, but it just didn't work out there. And then he goes to Cal and, kind of gets the keys to the engine and just took off. But with Tyson, we're just like, he just checks so many boxes, and you can kind of play him with any of our guys, any other 4 guys out there on the floor with him. So just, adding obviously versatility and wing size, helped because he's 6'6", 6'7", and, just trying to get the best player available, and we just felt he was the guy there at 20. I think the biggest adjustment for him will be like playing without the ball, because obviously at Cal, he had the ball 95% of the time. I mean, he basically played point guard. Where at Texas Tech, he played more off the ball, so watching more of that film, he can shoot. I wouldn't call him like a great shooter, but he's a good shooter, and I think he's going to improve with that. Playing off the ball on the catch, but with him, like, he can get downhill, he can make a play pick and roll. Second side, even off the ball, he catches it. Drives closeouts. Can make the right play. I just think he fits with all our guys and can do so many things but like I said, like off the ball will be a challenge for him. And then even defensively, like he's got good size, he's got good strength, good feet. If you watch some of his defensive clips, they're probably not going to be great just because he had to do so much offensively and he played, in the whole game. Like a lot of these college guys do. They kind of take a back end on that end of the floor, but we're excited, and I think he's smart enough. He's got a high enough IQ that he'll figure out how to play with our other guys off the ball. I think probably like 2-3. He'll guard the 2 and 3. Obviously, he's strong enough. Maybe in a pinch you could put him on smaller 4s, but that's an area he's got to improve at. Like I said, that and playing off the ball offensively. But he's strong. He's smart. He gets steals. One of the things that we don't really do well is rebound, especially offensive rebound, and he does that well. I think he got like 1.6 a game. So if he gets us 2 extra opportunities a game, that'll be helpful. But I think he'll figure it out. And even talking to Mark Madsen through the process, he's been in the NBA, so he's like just knowing the schemes, adjustments, rotations. The NBA will be an adjustment like any rookie. Yeah, well, we had a lot of options to move back or even out, because a lot of teams, like Tyson, I think, and some other names. So, but we just thought, hey, man, we don't have a pick for a while. If he's our guy and we really like him, let's take him. Like we feel like he can contribute. Maybe I don't know first year, but he contribute at some point with us, and we just need a big wing that can go make plays, and he was the best guy on the board for us, and we just said, hey, we don't want to regret trading the pick and getting a bunch of other picks down the road where we can get this guy at 20 and he's our guy. Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing to do is get big wings that can kind of do a little bit of everything and play both ways. And I think with Jalen, he's unique where he was our best player but also like our best fit on the board. So having that was pretty much a no-brainer. And his size, he can just do so many things that, we're excited just to get him in and get him with our group, get him with Kenny, and just really hit the ground running.
Obviously really excited to be in a position to improve our front court in the way that we did. I think the defensive versatility of Yves is something we were really excited about. He's not just a rim protector. He has the ability to be a multiple coverage big. He's a player that we're really excited about in terms of upside, but also in terms of character. The human being he is, his intelligence as a human being, his instincts and the speed at which he picks up new information is really exciting. He's somebody that projected very, very well for us. Eyes, ears, and numbers is what you like to try to cover when you do these types of things, and he checks all three boxes for us in many ways. There'll be some things out there that'll tell you that the numbers don't check out, and that's okay. We're comfortable with that. I think we're a group that really understands the human part of this a little bit relative to Eve, and we're just genuinely excited about it.
Yeah, I'd piggyback on what Griff said. When we were in the identifying stages of our draft process in October, I went to Baylor, and Eves really stood out. There wasn't a whole lot of information about him at the time. He played in the Nike Hoop Summit, and I wouldn't say he's just a guy, but he showed a ton of potential, and he really progressed by the time I saw him again in October. And the first thing I came back and I told Griff, I was like, this kid is going to be a first-round pick, and we need to make sure that we keep our eyes on him. And he just kept getting better and better throughout the year. Like Griff said, his defensive versatility, his ability to play in multiple coverages. You see that a lot right now in the NBA, and you saw teams that are playing late into the playoffs, especially with Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, and Al Horford. Those guys can play up at the point of the screen, stop the ball, and get back. And that is huge. It's huge for how Willie wants to play as well. And then this kid is definitely developmental. Hopefully his learning curve is short. He got to Baylor, and everybody thought he was going to redshirt. He actually thought he was going to redshirt. And that just goes to the point of what Griff said. He picks up things really quickly. And so with his intelligence and his just raw natural ability, it's exciting, and we're happy he fell to 21.
Well, some of what Bryson just said, the speed with which he picks things up are incredible. But when you look at an athlete with his size and the way he tested for us here, the things he's capable of physically are very rare. And we've sat up here and said that before about players, and it's true. There are a lot of times you draft on tools. What's exciting about Eve is we feel like the likelihood he reaches his ceiling is better than a lot of those people because of what he's shown already for his propensity to get better quickly. But the things that he did in our building here physically and athletically, we've never had a player his size do anything even remotely like. So it's exciting for us. When you've got his work rate and his human character and his intelligence, there's something on the end for you that's going to be really special, and that's what we want in that building. We've talked about it a lot. We've got to have people that are committed to what we're doing here, and Eve is committed, and that's meaningful to us. Physically, he has the tools to play in that setting. Those games we played, he belongs in physically. What's going to take him some time is just the overall speed of the game. If you look at where he was and how long he's been playing the game, he's made an incredibly meteoric rise. I don't think you go from prolific prep to thinking you're redshirting at Baylor to playing in the playoffs in the NBA very often. So it'd be silly to say, oh, yeah, he's going to do that. But he has the physical tools that play in those games.
It's his ability to really get out of the way as well. He has such a good feel for finding space. He's able to set screens and play in the dunker. A lot like, a Derek Lively type. That I think his feel for the game is very advanced, and somebody like that next to Z can also is going to unlock him. He also has good touch. I don't want to sit there and say that he's going to be some pick and pop big, but when he came into our gym, his shot mechanics are they're there, and I think with reps and over time as he continues to develop, I can see his ability to grow as a 3-point shooter in this league as well. So he's got so much potential, as a player, and so we're just excited that, like I said, he fell to 21 and that he's with us.
Well, he's been a pretty prominent prospect for the last couple of years, but I think the jump he took in skill and making a three-point shot took him to a different level as a prospect. And, I think I just like guys that have to carry the load for their team. And they won a lot. He played many different defenses that tried to shut him down. And, he has a lot of experience under pressure situations. Can play both sides of the ball. I just talked to the altitude people and told them probably I think his defense will be better at this level. I think he had to carry a heavy load for that team and have to worry about getting in foul trouble. So there'd be times when you watch, whether live or on tape, where you're like, all right, can he really guard? But I expect that to be better at this level when he has less responsibility. And I think offensively he just has so many outs as a player. He can pass, he can shoot, he can catch in tight spaces and make plays and make the little touch shots that Joker makes. So I think the guy just has a lot of game.
How do you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, kind of talked about a good amount over the last year, but I do feel like you have to try to find the edge. And I don't think all rookies are made the same. I think you have the 18, 19-year-old guys that may or may not have more upside, and then you have some other guys that, are accomplished, they do a lot, and for all intents and purposes may be more ready for high-pressure NBA games than some guys on NBA rosters that have been in the league for 2 or 3 years. So in that sense, I think Duran's one of those guys, right? Has a high IQ, knows how to play in different styles and different scenarios. So I think he has a very good chance of being a plug-and-play guy. In the Minnesota series, it's a very physical game. So in that style of NBA, I think he's a 4 all day. I played in the era where there was Rasheed Wallace and Joe Smith and Cliff Robinson and all these different guys that were 6'10", 6'11". Probably there was a period a few years ago where it would have been harder for some of those guys to play in this NBA where closeouts were so hard to guard because you couldn't touch the guy. But I think where the NBA is going right now, I think he's 100% a 4. Players that shoot a similar way, and as soon as I started watching Duran shoot, I felt like it was like Al Horford. Wide base, very consistent release, that shoots kind of a set shot from deep. And, I've seen Al make a million shots in the NBA and through, but I think he has the mind, the skill, and the body to play right away. Yeah, I think that was one of the most appealing things to me. I think, we value character a lot. And this guy's, talking to Coach Grant, one of the best he's had in college at wherever he's been at, right? Just works, is humble, loves to be in the gym. Is going to keep his head down and basically just try to get better every single day. So it's I like a lot of our other young guys that we brought in here, so I think it'll be a great fit.
Huge credit to our scouting staff. That's what they do. We have a global scouting department that's what they do. They go all over and they watch players as much as they can. We build a profile. AJ's been one of the top recruits in his class for a while. He's a 4-star recruit, originally from Fresno, played high school in California, had originally committed to Texas, decided to go play with the Next Stars program in Australia. He's growing up, as you mentioned, with Jalen, growing up playing against pros, which I think is great for him. And although he didn't play a lot last year in a really competitive NBL in Australia, he grew a lot. Physically, he grew a lot. Mentally, he grew a lot. And you could see the improvements as you studied his film and you watched him, then getting an opportunity to spend time with him in the draft combine process and in the draft workout process. So, we're really excited about AJ. When he plays and how quickly he develops and how quickly he earns his opportunities to be determined. But this is a player with great athleticism, speed, talent. I love his mentality, toughness, and so we're really excited. But he's got incredible speed, quickness. He's got a pass-first mentality, but with a really high-level scoring game. And so I think he also fits within that crew skill set-wise. I think those guys all have different skill sets that they can bring to our table, and he brings something that maybe, Andre Jackson is the only other one that really brings from a speed component. I love the way he plays at different gears. He can go fast. He can play in second gear, third gear. He can really slow it down. He's great at deceleration, which is something that we study a lot. And so his change of pace, I think, is going to give him a chance to, although he is skinny, he's a lot stronger than he was. He's already getting stronger. He's got a great frame, but that's not going to be his gift. It's his speed and his fluid athleticism and really his mentality. When I say pros, he played a lot against NBA pros, just in the U.S., in summer camps and summer leagues and things. You can go on YouTube and Google and watch some of it. So those are great experiences and actually really accessible things to watch and see how he's done. The NBL, in the minutes that he did play, a lot of those guys are former NBA guys, maybe never to be NBA guys, but it's a really physical, strong, competitive league. So if you look at what the impact of physicality will have on his game and you kind of watch how he's able to navigate and manage that, there's a lot of upside there in what he was able to do using his speed and his change of gears. Yeah, I mean, basically, he's going to be a 6'5". He is a 6'5" guard with about a 6'8" wingspan, 6'8" plus wingspan. So, you know, he'll play at all of it 6'5", maybe even 6'6". He's about 170 pounds. He's gonna add weight, but he's a really hard worker, really driven kid, and you know, he's excited. We're excited to have him. I'll never put a limit or a ceiling on someone. Maybe he'll play a lot this year. Maybe he won't. If he did, he wouldn't be the first player, you know, at his age and his frame to play a lot, even on a good team. So I don't want to put that limit on him. When you get in that part of the draft, the assessment we had to make is here's a handful of guys that are win now. Here's a handful of guys that maybe have a higher development curve or a longer runway. I think he's a combination of both. He has, in my mind, obviously in our group's mind, a defined elite skill set with speed and athleticism. I mean, he is very quick. He's very shifty. He's very fluid, and he knows how to play. And so I think when you have something that you can count on, it gives you a chance to get on the floor, and it gives you a chance to build from somewhere. So he's not this super raw kind of hope to build talent prospect, I would say, like a projection pick. There are things that he already does that translate to our game. There's things that he has to get better at and he'll work really hard at that'll help him play more and be more impactful. But he, to me, from a speed, athleticism, again, this kind of pass-first mentality, and he can really score it in between. He can shoot it from three. He can finish at the rim. I think those are the things that allow him to have a chance, not only now but going forward. It's kind of the easy answer, cliche, but combo. I mean, I really do think he has a combo mentality. Again, like, I think naturally he may grow to be a point guard someday. He really likes to get off the ball, kind of move, play off the cuts. Watch a lot of his highlights, a lot of back cutting, finishing at the rim, getting out in transition. So I don't think he's a ball-dominant point guard, but I do think he could end up being more of a facilitator point guard down the road. I think Doc and Dame have an incredible chance to have an impact on his development. I think our new coaching staff and the development mindset of our new coaching staff will have a big impact. But I think all of our vets, it's one of the reasons why we feel comfortable making a play on a player like him is because we think he can grow within our culture and not in a sense that we need to rush him to anything. You know, we'll hopefully be really good if he plays a lot, and we'll hopefully be really good if he doesn't play a lot. And I think there's a chance to someone to really grow and develop in the right way when you have that type of dynamic around them. He's like all these players and all of us in life have different adversities that we went through. And he's had multiple steps where he hasn't chosen what would be the most natural, easy path. I mean, at his age, to go over and play in Australia in a tough league, not play a lot, there are a number of people who have taken that circumstance and quit and come back. And he didn't. You know, he really kind of embraced it and he grew from it. Has great connections there because of it when we really dive into his background and do all the intel and you talk to him about it. And so, yeah, for me, that was a strong positive for him to go over there, kind of endure that opportunity, and really break away from home and do that at a young age. That's not an easy thing to do. I couldn't have done that when I was his age, and I surely wouldn't have done it if I wasn't having fun and not playing. And so the fact that he was able to kind of find happiness in that environment, learn something from it, bring it back, and be better, I mean, he really did improve his position within our NBA world through a tough situation. So that does say a lot to me.
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job. When he first hopped on the scene. We've seen him play overseas before he played at Miami, so he played in France as well. And one of our scouts early on in the process was like, hey, I'm at a tournament in November. You need to come see this kid. I was like, I'll be there next week. And then another scout was like, you probably need to come see this kid again. So he's someone that you didn't know as well, but he picked it up really, really quickly. And the same with Bub. Started the season, first game's a triple-double, and he's on everybody's radar again. You're like, okay, let's keep tracking these guys. And, again, guys that have the length and the athleticism and the playmaking those guys are always going to show up on our radar, but they did a really good job of putting themselves on there sooner than later. Other than the hair, I think the hair was the first thing that jumped out. We had breakfast, I think, the other day before he took off, and I was sharing pictures of my son's hair versus his hair before I cut it. So that popped right away. Instantly, you saw the size. 6'8", I think it's a 6'10" wingspan. He's a second side facilitator, but when they had some injuries, he played on the ball. And again, we're looking for guys who can create and make plays. And at the end of the day, he's going to wake up every morning and be 6'10", play on the wing, and 40% three-point shooter, I think he finished by the end of the season. So that stuff popped quickly. We'll continue to get him to defend and rebound and play with pace here, and add him with some other guys that like basketball and throw him in the mix.
Honestly, the workout went pretty well, so I knew like they were interested, but until the last minute, I didn't know where I was going. So, I'm very excited to start working, and yeah, I can't wait.
You're up.
No, I'm planning on playing here in the team. Yeah.
Now.
Obviously, I talked to the people over there, so. I got to learn more about the team. But, so I was in the facility, everything. They showed me around, and it was nice. So, I think it's beautiful. I took a lot of risk. I left France when I was 17, so I did the last 2 years in Germany. I felt like, it was a risk. And I believed in myself. I worked a lot. And, I stayed confident.
4 players out of France in the first round, and 3 of which were in the top 6. And what does that say to basketball in France and all the people looking up to you guys out there too as well?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I played with everybody, so it's nice seeing your country being like one of the most represented in the NBA. It's like I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of everybody. Like every French people that went to the NBA, it's big. It's not coming from a different continent, so we really have to work to get there. And I'm really proud of everybody. First, I would definitely say my brother. 6 years older, so he was already playing basketball. But my first favorite player was probably KD. Yeah.
Third, what the Knicks are trying to do.
Yeah, so I think I'm really versatile, but I can also bring like what a rookie needs to bring in a team. So bring some energy, like being able to grab a rebound, push the ball, but also knock down shots. So I think it's very important for a rookie to bring like those things.
First round of luck.
I don't know anybody like personally in the team, but I talked with the coach. Yeah, and it was nice to see him. I'm used to seeing him on TV, so it was a little different, but I enjoyed it.
How that layers and interacts and can counterbalance a lot of different things. So having someone with that that size and length, and I think one of the common themes with all 3 of the guys that are sitting here, and we talked about this after the draft, is they really think the game. They've got good anticipation skills. They process things quickly. That's the reason why they've gotten to this point. And you combine that with some of the physical traits I described with Dylan, and it's definitely part of why he's been so good on the board and the ability to make decisions with his height as well. That would be the case with the other guys as well. Just if you look at the night as a whole, I'm trying to be careful about what I'm saying, but if you looked at the night as a whole, I think the themes are pretty consistent with other nights that we've had draft-wise. I think tonight was basically, there's high processing on offense, high skill level as with regards to vision and passing. And that's combined with like big players, people that can handle the ball, make decisions with the ball, are pretty big for their position, are interchangeable. So I think it's a relatively consistent focus for us, and it's something that we value in players. So with Nikola specifically, having somebody that young with those tools is certainly intriguing, but he we have a long way to go with respect to his development, and but some of the things that we're able to add to the team tonight in general are consistent with things that we've been trying to focus on for several years now.
He's another downhill guy, nine free throws a game. I think he's a 3-position defender. The off-court reputation is sterling. You talk to the coaches at Texas Tech, talk to the coaches at Illinois. They don't say good things, they say amazing things. Obviously, it was on the wrong end of a really unfortunate situation, and his ability to play through that, play winning basketball for a great coach of Brad Underwood. We just think he brings toughness. I think he's an unbelievably competitive guy. He's got size. He's another downhill guy, another guy that's going to play with pace. You don't take those two guys thinking how they're going to match up together. But our challenge was to try to play a little bit faster over the second unit, and I think we got two of the fastest, most athletic and aggressive guys in the draft. We did a ton, and I think it's a shame that it's even a footnote. I think it's a shame that say was acquitted, and I think you really dig. It's a really unfortunate thing for a kid by all accounts and any relationship to a great kid. So oftentimes, we're the minute you're accused, it sounds guilty. Thankfully, he went the legal process. He chose to go to trial. He did nothing wrong, and I just think it's a shame he went through that, and I think it's a testament to who he is as a kid and his ability to kind of play through obvious, really tough distractions.
I thought tonight was a good night for us. We came into the game, to the draft with a couple of objectives. We wanted to get more athletic. Defensively on the perimeter, we wanted to add some size and some youth. And I thought that we were able to do two things tonight. Get the player that we wanted, move him back, and pick up other assets and capital for the future to continue to allow us to have more resources to build the team for the long term. No, he's improving, and what he was asked to do at Virginia was to defend, and he relied on his athleticism. The shooting isn't where he wanted it to be, or where we think it will be in a few years. But he's an impactful player, and great players find a way to impact the game, not just with the offensive box score. And so I'm confident with our staff, with Bud, our coaches, that will allow him, or he'll be primed to improve as a shooter. And if he can do that and do it quickly, I think we found a gem. So we spoke to him. I spoke to him post draft. He's excited. He can't wait to get here. I know how badly he wanted to be here in Phoenix. We had some time during the draft process when he worked out for us to sit and talk for 30 minutes just about his journey as a player and what he needed to do to be effective on this level. And I think it goes without saying, if you ask his coaches, his opponents, the kid's a tireless worker. And I'm fairly confident with this team, with the players that we have, the coaching staff, that it'll be a great fit for him. And he saw that fit, and most importantly, he was adamant. Like his desire is to become an elite defender in this league first and foremost, and that's something that I think we can really benefit from. Different. I think you have to give Jalen McDaniels. You have to give McDaniels credit. He's about 6'9", a crazy, tenacious defender who's had an opportunity to really grow. But I see a ton of potential in Ryan. I think for him, he's a little bit shorter, and I think that'll allow him to navigate screens a lot better as a younger player. But if that's where he progresses to, that's the goal for us, to have an elite lockdown defender, at least someone that can take the challenge every day and make it extremely difficult on the opponent's best scorer.
I think with Isaiah, he was a very prominent high school player, much like, different players, but much like Keontae, and was dominating his competition. And, at one point, the #1 player in high school on a big schedule. Going to USC, the season obviously didn't go the way they all wanted. A lot of ups and downs. That had an injury in the middle. I think he did start. He learned how to play with his team. Had a bunch of turnovers early, though those improved in the last half of the season. He still has a great frame and speed and can get in the paint whenever he wants. Like, That's something that you usually can't teach. So are there things we need to continue to work on? Work on the pull-up, work on the shooting. I think he shoots it fine, mechanically. I'm sure that our coaches will be able to do things, but the thing I think he also profiles is that I think he can be a very good guard defender with the body and being able to see and read. I think that can be just as important defensively too. As you know, our coach says, move the ball. He moves the ball. Having other guys that play that way, I think, only help the teammates and help Isaiah. I think with Isaiah, the part for, I'm not making excuses at all, but when you've been so dominant in the high school level and even college to get in the paint whenever you want and be at the rim whenever you want, and absolutely dominate your competition that is your age, you can make an argument of whether he's had enough reps or not, but to be able to do that, because he's not going to be able to do all that all the time in the NBA. He's going to be able to do some of it at a high level. So having those other parts to his game, he's a very hard worker, and I think also he hasn't shown it as much because he's been so dominant that way. So all of them need work, but we're fine with the mechanics. Maybe we'll make some tweaks, but it's really his pace and his ability to see and his ability to make others better and be able to score for himself and create for himself is big qualities.
We all thought really highly of Baylor and were excited that he had dropped to 30. He's done a good job of with his body. He has done a good job in the weight room. He's always been super skilled, super smart, and super tough. He's a basketball player now. He knows how to play, and so I think that getting his body to the level it's been in the last couple years and the way that that's translated into his performances in the Big East is not a surprise because he's just got a lot of good things going for him. As far as the age thing, there's data on the better bets or as far as the highest upside are younger, right? But at the same time, each person's their own entity, and it's a long career ahead. So again, we're not sitting in draft pick slots that are like you get everything, right? So if you can find players that you think are really tough, really smart, about the right things, know the game, then you try to gobble them up, and make them a part of your program, and hopefully we, those guys can come in and accentuate our best players like we ask everybody else to.